You worried all day about what might happen tomorrow. You feared losing money, losing people, failing, becoming sick, and facing problems that had not even arrived. You told yourself that once tomorrow became safer, you would finally relax and enjoy your life. But that night, you closed your eyes and never opened them again. The tomorrow that stole your peace never came. Buddhism teaches that death does not wait for your worries to end, your plans to succeed, or your life to become perfect. Life ends quickly, yet you continue worrying as though you have unlimited time. Today, you will learn why your greatest loss may not be death itself, but spending your entire life afraid of a future you may never live to see. 1. Tomorrow is a possibility, not a promise. You add more details to this paragraph, and easy to understand. Make plans as though tomorrow is guaranteed, but tomorrow is only a possibility. The only life you truly possess is the breath you are taking right now. Planning for the future is wise, but sacrificing today for a future that may never arrive is not. Many people postpone their happiness. They say they will rest after completing their work, enjoy life after earning more money, and become peaceful after solving every problem. However, work never completely ends, desires continue growing, and one problem is often replaced by another. Buddhism teaches that remembering death makes life more meaningful. When you understand that this day may not return, an ordinary meal, a peaceful walk, and a conversation with someone you love become precious. Do not treat today like a waiting room for tomorrow. Your real life is already happening. Lesson 2. Most of your suffering exists only in your imagination. The mind can create pain before anything painful has actually happened. You imagine being rejected before anyone rejects you, losing people who are still beside you, or failing before you have even taken the first step. Your body reacts to these thoughts as if the danger is real. Your heart beats faster, your mind becomes restless, and you lose your peace over an event that exists only in your imagination. Worry makes you experience the same pain again and again. You imagine the worst possible result, replay it inside your mind, and begin treating it like a fact. However, many of the situations you fear will never happen, and even when difficulties do come, they are often not as terrible as your mind predicted. Buddhism teaches that thoughts are temporary visitors. A fearful thought may appear, but you do not have to believe it, follow it, or allow it to control your entire day. When worry appears, stop for a moment and ask yourself, is this problem happening right now, or am I only imagining what might happen? If the problem is real and there is something useful you can do, take one calm step towards solving it. If no action is possible, return your attention to your breathing and surroundings. Remind yourself that you are safe in this moment. Do not allow an imaginary future to steal the real peace available to you today. Lesson 3. You are spending a limited life on unlimited worries. There will always be something to worry about. Today, you may worry about money. Tomorrow, you may worry about your health, your future, or what another person thinks about you. Even after one problem is solved, the mind quickly finds another reason to feel afraid. Worries seem endless, but your time in this world is not. Every hour you spend worrying is an hour of your life that will never return. You may earn lost money again, replace a possession, repair a relationship, or begin a new journey, but you can never bring back yesterday. Buddhism teaches that your attention is part of your life. Whatever receives most of your attention slowly receives most of your time, energy, and peace. Many people waste beautiful days thinking about problems that are not happening in the present moment. They sit beside the people they love, but remain lost in fear. They have food, shelter, and safety, yet their minds are somewhere in an imaginary future. Without realizing it, they miss the life that is already in front of them. At the end of your life, you will not wish that you had worried more. You may wish you had spent more time with your family, enjoyed simple moments, forgiven more quickly, and lived with less fear. Remember that your worries may be unlimited, but your days are limited. Choose carefully what deserves a place in your mind and a piece of your life. Lesson 4. Control what you can and release what you cannot. Much of your anxiety comes from trying to control things that were never fully in your hands. You want to control how people think about you, whether they remain loyal, what happens tomorrow, and whether life follows the plan you created. You may believe that if you think about every possible problem, you can prevent something bad from happening. However, no amount of worry can control another person's choices, stop every unexpected event, or force life to move in the direction you want. People change, relationships change, opportunities disappear, and carefully made plans can suddenly fall apart. Someone may misunderstand you, even when you explain yourself clearly. A person may leave, even after you have treated them well. You may work honestly and still not receive the result you expected. When this happens, the mind begins asking painful questions. Why did this happen to me? What could I have done differently? How can I make everything return to the way it was? These questions often keep you trapped in a situation you cannot change. Buddhism teaches that suffering becomes stronger when you fight against reality. Acceptance does not mean that you approve of everything that happens, and it does not mean that you should stop trying to improve your life. Acceptance means seeing the situation clearly instead of wasting your strength wishing that reality were different. You acknowledge what has happened, understand what is still within your power, and stop fighting what cannot be undone. There is an important difference between responsibility and control. You are responsible for your effort, but you cannot control every result. You can speak honestly, but you cannot control whether another person understands you. You can care for your health, but you cannot guarantee that your body will never become sick. You can work hard, but you cannot control every opportunity, decision, or change around you. Your actions belong to you, but many outcomes depend on conditions outside your control. Imagine a farmer planting seeds in the ground. He prepares the soil, waters the field, removes harmful weeds, and protects the young plants. He does everything he can, but he cannot command the rain, control the temperature, or force the crops to grow faster. If he spends every night worrying about the weather, he will only make himself exhausted. His responsibility is to care for the field, while the rest must be left to nature. Your life works in the same way. You should prepare wisely, make good decisions, and take action when action is needed. After doing what you can, you must allow the result to unfold. Constantly checking, overthinking, and imagining every possible outcome will not give you greater control. It will only take away your sleep, energy, and ability to enjoy the present moment. Sometimes, the most peaceful decision is to say, "I have done what I can, and now I must let go." This sentence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you understand your limits. You were never meant to carry the behavior of other people, the uncertainty of the future, and the weight of the entire world inside your mind. When worry appears, ask yourself, is there something useful I can do right now? If the answer is yes, take one calm and practical step. Make the call, complete the task, apologize, ask for help, or prepare what needs to be prepared. If the answer is no, remind yourself that thinking about the same problem again will not create a different result. Releasing control does not mean becoming careless. It means saving your energy for the things you can actually change. Control your words, your habits, your responses, and the way you treat people. Release their opinions, their decisions, the past that cannot be rewritten, and the future that has not yet arrived. Life becomes lighter when you stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. You may not be able to control what happens next, but you can choose to meet it with patience, awareness, and courage. Do what is right, accept what is beyond you, and allow peace to return where control once created fear. Lesson 5. Do not sacrifice today for problems that may never come. Many people cannot enjoy a peaceful day because their minds are always preparing for something bad to happen. Even when life is calm, they feel nervous. When they receive good news, they begin wondering how long it will last. When someone loves them, they worry that the person may leave. When they succeed, they fear losing everything. Their body is living in the present, but their mind is already suffering inside an imagined future. You may believe that worrying will protect you. You may think that expecting the worst will make future pain easier to handle. However, worry does not prepare you in a healthy way. It only makes you experience the pain before it arrives. You become sad before anything has been lost, afraid before danger appears, and exhausted before the real challenge even begins. Sometimes the problem never comes, but the peaceful day you sacrifice to worry is already gone. Imagine that someone tells you there may be a storm next week. Instead of calmly preparing, you spend every day feeling terrified. You stop enjoying your meals, avoid talking to your family, and cannot sleep at night. Then the storm changes direction and never reaches your town. The danger was never experienced, but your fear was real. You gave away several good days to something that did not happen. This is how the mind often treats the future. It creates the worst possible story and then asks you to live inside it. One small uncertainty becomes a disaster. One delayed message becomes rejection. One mistake becomes complete failure. One physical pain becomes a serious illness inside your imagination. The mind takes a possibility and begins treating it like a certainty. Buddhism teaches that everything in life is uncertain. This may sound frightening at first, but it can also bring freedom. If the future is uncertain, then the terrible result you fear is not guaranteed. Something difficult may happen, but something good may happen as well. Life may surprise you in ways your worried mind cannot imagine. Why should you automatically believe the darkest possibility? Worry often gives you the illusion that you are doing something useful. You sit for hours thinking about every possible outcome and feel as though you are solving the problem. In reality, you may only be repeating the same thoughts without taking any action. Useful preparation has a clear purpose. Worry moves in circles. For example, if you are concerned about money, useful action may mean creating a budget, reducing unnecessary spending, or finding another source of income. Worry means lying awake every night repeating, "What if I lose everything?" If you are worried about your health, useful action may mean seeing a doctor, improving your food, sleeping better, or exercising. Worry means checking every small sensation and imagining the worst disease. One moves you toward a solution, the other keeps you trapped in fear. You must learn to ask yourself, am I preparing or am I only suffering? This question can save many hours of your life. If there is a real step you can take it calmly. If there is nothing more you can do today, allow yourself to rest. You are not irresponsible for choosing peace after doing your part. Some people feel guilty when they relax. They believe that if they stop worrying, they are ignoring their responsibilities. But peace does not mean you no longer care. It means you refuse to destroy yourself over what is beyond your control. A peaceful mind often sees solutions more clearly than a frightened mind. Think about how many good moments you have missed because your attention was somewhere else. Perhaps you were eating with your family, but your mind was worrying about work. Perhaps someone you loved was speaking to you, but you were thinking about next month's problems. Perhaps you were safe in your home, but you could not feel safe because your imagination was creating danger. Those moments looked ordinary, but one day you may wish you could return to them. The people around you will not always be there. Your body will not always have the same strength. Your home, work, and daily routine may change. The present may feel simple now, but later you may understand how valuable it was. Buddhism teaches that impermanence makes life precious. A flower is beautiful because it does not bloom forever. A sunset matters because it lasts only a short time. A peaceful evening with someone you love is meaningful because both the evening and the person are temporary. The answer is not to become afraid of losing everything. The answer is to become fully present while it is here. Enjoy the meal before it becomes a memory. Listen to the voice before silence replaces it. Appreciate your health before your body changes. Feel the peace of this moment, without demanding that it remain forever. You do not protect yourself from future sadness by refusing present happiness. Some people keep their hearts closed because they fear loss. They do not love fully because love may end. They do not celebrate success because failure may come. They do not trust peaceful moments because trouble may return. But avoiding happiness does not remove suffering from life. It only removes happiness. When something good is happening, allow yourself to experience it. Do not immediately ask when it will end. Do not search for hidden danger inside every blessing. Receive the moment with gratitude. You can understand that it is temporary and still enjoy it deeply. The future will bring its own responsibilities, and you will face them when they arrive. Today does not need to carry all of tomorrow's weight. You were given enough strength for this moment, not every imagined problem of the next 10 years. When your mind moves too far into the future, bring it back gently. Notice 5 things around you. Feel your feet touching the ground. Take a slow breath and ask, what is actually wrong in this exact moment? Sometimes you will discover that nothing is wrong right now. The fear exists only in a story about what might happen later. This does not mean that every fear is foolish. Some concerns are real and deserve attention. However, even real problems should be handled one step at a time. You do not need to solve your entire future tonight. You only need to take the next wise step. If an appointment is needed, make it. If a conversation is necessary, have it. If preparation is possible, begin it. After that, return to your life. Do not continue punishing yourself after you have already done what you can. Remember that worry cannot prevent death, failure, loss, or change. It cannot guarantee that people will stay, that plans will succeed, or that life will remain comfortable. It only guarantees that you will lose part of today. Your life is already passing while you are worrying about what may happen next. Do not sacrifice real mornings, real conversations, real laughter, and real peace for imaginary disasters. Prepare wisely, but do not live inside fear. Tomorrow will arrive with its own challenges, or it may not arrive at all. Today is here. Protect it. Lesson 6. Death makes your ego's problems look small. Many of the things that disturb your peace are not real dangers to your life. They are simply uncomfortable moments for your ego. Someone ignores your message, disagrees with your opinion, criticizes your appearance, fails to appreciate your effort, or treats you as though you are not important. Nothing serious may have happened to your body, your home, or your future, yet your mind reacts as though something terrible has taken place. The ego wants to feel important, respected, admired, and understood. It wants other people to agree with you, recognize your value, and behave according to your expectations. When they do not, the ego feels attacked. It begins creating anger, resentment, jealousy, and the desire to prove something. A few careless words from another person can remain inside your mind for days because your ego refuses to let them go. You may replay the situation repeatedly and imagine better answers you could have given. You may think about how unfairly you were treated and wait for the person to apologize. You may check their life, compare yourself with them, or secretly hope they experience the same pain they caused you. The event may have lasted only a few minutes, but your ego can continue carrying it for months. Buddhism teaches that the ego creates a false picture of who you are. It tells you that you are your reputation, your achievements, your appearance, your position, and the opinions people hold about you. Because of this, when someone questions these things, you feel as though your entire identity is being threatened. However, these things are temporary. Your appearance will change, your position may disappear, your achievements may be forgotten, and other people's opinions will continue changing. One person may admire you today and criticize you tomorrow. Another person may misunderstand you, even when your intentions are good. Some people will never recognize your value because they are looking at life through their own wounds, fears, and limitations. You cannot build lasting peace on the changing thoughts of other people. Death helps you see this truth clearly. One day, every person who praised you and every person who criticized you will be gone. Their opinions will disappear with them. The argument that seemed so important will be forgotten. The competition will end. The need to prove that you were better, smarter, stronger, or more successful will lose all meaning. Imagine two people refusing to speak to each other for many years because of one argument. Both wait for the other person to apologize first. Both protect their pride and tell themselves that they are right. Time continues passing. Their hair becomes gray, their bodies grow weaker, and the distance between them becomes larger. Then one of them dies, and suddenly the argument no longer matters. The remaining person may realize that pride stole years that could have been filled with peace. This does not mean that you must return to every harmful person or accept disrespect. Buddhism does not ask you to remain in relationships that destroy your well-being. You can create boundaries, walk away, and protect your mind without carrying hatred. There is a difference between protecting yourself and punishing someone inside your thoughts every day. Sometimes you must leave a person behind, but you do not need to carry them inside your heart. You can remember what happened, learn from it, and still release the emotional poison. Forgiveness does not always mean rebuilding the relationship. Sometimes it simply means deciding that the event will no longer control your peace. The ego often misunderstands forgiveness. It believes that letting go means the other person has won. It says that holding anger proves your strength, and that revenge will restore your dignity. In reality, anger keeps you tied to the person who hurt you. The more you think about them, the more attention and energy you continue giving them. The person may be sleeping peacefully while you remain awake replaying the pain. They may have moved forward while you continue having imaginary conversations with them. Your anger does not always punish them, but it always affects you. It changes your mood, disturbs your sleep, and steals your ability to enjoy the people who are still present. Ask yourself honestly how much of your limited life you are willing to give to one painful moment. Will you sacrifice another week, another month, or another year because someone failed to understand you? Will you allow one person's words to become more powerful than your own desire for peace? Remembering death can bring the answer. If you knew that you had only 1 month left to live, many of your current problems would immediately appear smaller. You might stop worrying about who viewed your message, who failed to invite you, who received more praise, or who said something unkind. You would begin protecting your time more carefully because you would finally understand its value. You might call the person you love, apologize for the argument that no longer matters, or stop waiting for someone else to admit that you were right. You might realize that peace is more valuable than winning. The tragedy is that people often discover these truths only after receiving bad news, losing someone, or facing death closely. You do not need to wait for tragedy to become wise. You can remember today that your time is limited. You can choose to stop wasting it on small battles that only feed the ego. You can ask yourself whether the issue will still matter at the end of your life. If it will not, perhaps it does not deserve so much of your attention now. The ego also creates suffering through comparison. It constantly looks at other people and asks why they have more money, beauty, attention, success, or respect. It makes you feel as though another person's progress reduces your own value. You may see someone succeed and feel that life has forgotten you. However, death eventually removes every comparison. The richest and poorest person both leave this world. The famous and unknown both become memories. The beautiful body and the ordinary body both age and return to nature. Nothing you compete for can be carried beyond this life. This does not mean that goals are useless or that you should stop improving yourself. You can work hard, grow, and build a meaningful life. The problem begins when your goals are driven only by the desire to appear superior. If your success depends on someone else feeling beneath you, it will never bring true peace. You may reach one level and immediately search for another person to defeat. You may earn more, but still feel poor beside someone wealthier. You may become respected but remain disturbed by one person who does not admire you. The ego is never fully satisfied because it always needs another comparison. Buddhism encourages you to replace comparison with awareness. Instead of asking whether you are ahead of someone else, ask whether you are becoming wiser, kinder, calmer, and more honest. These qualities remain meaningful even when nobody applauds them. A peaceful character is more valuable than an impressive image. Your ego is also deeply concerned with being remembered. It wants your name, work, and achievements to remain important. It fears becoming ordinary or forgotten. Yet countless people once believed their problems, victories, and reputations were permanent. Today, the world continues without remembering most of their names. This truth may initially feel uncomfortable, but it can also make you free. You do not need to impress everyone, because everyone is temporary. You do not need to create a perfect image, because every image eventually disappears. You can stop performing and begin living honestly. Much of your exhaustion comes from trying to control how others see you. You change your words, hide your feelings, and silence parts of yourself to avoid judgment. You may stay around the wrong people because you are afraid they will speak badly about you if you leave. You may keep proving yourself to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. Death reminds you that their opinion is not worth losing your life over. They are not the owners of your time, peace, or identity. You do not need permission to live according to your values. You only need enough wisdom to understand that their judgment is temporary. One day, the person whose approval you are chasing may no longer be here. One day, you will no longer be here either. How tragic would it be to spend your whole life becoming someone you are not, for people who were never going to stay forever? The ego also holds tightly to being right. During disagreements, it often stops listening because it is busy preparing its next answer. It wants to win more than it wants to understand. Even when you realize that you may be wrong, pride makes it difficult to admit it. You may think that apologizing will make you look weak. However, a sincere apology often requires more courage than continuing an argument. Weakness hides behind pride, while strength can say, "I was wrong, and I am sorry." Sometimes both people are partly wrong. Sometimes the relationship matters more than the issue. Yet the ego keeps collecting evidence, remembering old mistakes, and turning one disagreement into a battle over identity. It says, "If I accept their point, I will lose." But peace is not a defeat. Imagine how many relationships have ended because two people wanted to be right at the same time. They could not let go of one sentence, one misunderstanding, or one moment of anger. Later, when one person is gone, the surviving person may wish they had chosen love over pride. You should not apologize for things you did not do merely to keep someone close. You should not accept false blame or remain silent about harmful behavior. But when you know you have made a mistake, do not allow the ego to make the situation larger. Correct it while there is still time. Life is too uncertain for delayed apologies. Death does not wait until both people are emotionally prepared. Sometimes the last conversation happens during an argument, and neither person knows it is the last. This is why you should be careful with words. Anger may pass, but a final sentence can remain forever in someone's heart. Before speaking harshly, remember that you may not get another opportunity to speak gently. Before walking away in pride, remember that you may not meet again. This awareness does not mean living in fear. It means treating people with greater care, because nothing is guaranteed. The ego is not always loud. Sometimes it appears as silent resentment. You may smile in front of someone while secretly hoping they fail. You may say you have forgiven them while continuing to tell the story of what they did. You may claim that you no longer care while checking whether life has punished them. True release is not pretending the pain never happened. It is reaching a point where their name no longer controls your mood. It is remembering the event without becoming the same wounded version of yourself again. This process takes patience. Some wounds are deep, and you may not release them immediately. Buddhism does not ask you to force peace. It asks you to observe your attachment honestly. Every time the painful story appears, notice whether you are feeding it or allowing it to pass. You can say, "Yes, this happened, and it hurt me, but I will not continue hurting myself because of it." This simple understanding separates the original pain from the suffering you keep recreating. Death also reminds you that the person who hurt you is temporary and imperfect. This does not excuse their behavior, but it may help you understand that they are also shaped by fear, ignorance, and suffering. People often give others the pain they have not healed within themselves. Seeing their humanity does not require allowing them back into your life. It simply prevents hatred from turning you into someone you do not want to become. You can maintain distance without wishing destruction upon them. The ego often says, "They must understand how much they hurt me before I can move on." But some people may never understand. They may deny the truth, defend themselves, or continue believing they did nothing wrong. If your peace depends on their awareness, you are giving them control over your healing. You may never receive the apology, explanation, or recognition you deserve. This is painful, but it does not mean you must remain trapped forever. Closure is not always something another person gives you. Sometimes it is the decision you make when you finally accept that the past will not change. You say, "I cannot rewrite what happened, but I can decide what happens inside me now." This is how the ego becomes smaller and wisdom becomes stronger. Death makes your ego's problems look small because it reveals the final truth. None of these temporary battles can follow you forever. Your pride, grudges, jealousies, arguments, and reputation all remain behind. The only thing that matters is how fully and peacefully you used the life you were given. At the end of life, you may not care about who admired you, who was jealous of you, or who admitted you were right. You may care about whether you loved well, spoke honestly, forgave when possible, and protected your heart from becoming bitter. You may remember the people you pushed away, the kindness you delayed, and the days you lost to anger. You may wish you had understood earlier that most of the things that wounded your ego were never worth sacrificing your peace. Use this awareness now, while you still have time. When someone criticizes you, pause before reacting. Ask whether their words contain something useful. If they do, learn from them. If they do not, let them pass without carrying them for another day. When someone succeeds, notice whether jealousy appears. Instead of allowing it to poison you, remind yourself that another person's journey does not reduce your possibilities. Celebrate what is good and continue walking your own path. When someone fails to appreciate you, do not immediately question your value. Their inability to see you clearly does not make you worthless. The moon does not stop shining because one person closes the window. When an argument begins, ask whether you are trying to solve the problem or protect your ego. Listen carefully, speak calmly, and remember that the person in front of you may not always be there. When anger remains after the event, ask how much more of your life it deserves. You may not be able to release everything at once, but you can stop feeding it. You can choose not to replay the story, not to seek revenge, and not to let pain guide your future decisions. Your life is passing while you are trying to prove yourself, win arguments, and protect an image. One day, the body you defend so seriously will return to the earth. The name you want everyone to respect will become a memory. The people whose approval you chase will also disappear. Let this truth remove unnecessary pressure. You do not need to win every battle. You do not need to answer every insult. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. Sometimes, silence protects your peace better than another explanation. Choose your battles carefully, because every battle costs time, energy, and attention. Some problems need courage, action, and clear boundaries. Others only need you to stop feeding them. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Before reacting to a small insult, imagine yourself at the end of life looking back at this moment. Would you be proud that you spent another month thinking about it? Would you wish you had taken revenge, or would you wish you had returned to peace sooner? Before holding another grudge, imagine that tonight could be your final night. Would the anger still feel more important than rest? Would you still refuse to apologize, forgive, or release what is poisoning you? Death is not asking you to become passive, it is asking you to become clear. Stand up against injustice, protect your dignity, and walk away from harmful people when necessary. But do not allow the ego to turn every discomfort into a war. Your peace is too valuable, and your life is too short. One day, everything you are currently fighting to protect will change. Your body, status, relationships, possessions, and reputation will not remain forever. When you accept this, you stop holding life so tightly. You become softer without becoming weak, confident without needing applause, and peaceful without needing everyone to agree with you. You begin understanding that you are not here to prove your worth to every person. You are here to live wisely, grow honestly, and use your limited time well. The next time your ego feels injured, take a breath before responding. Remember how temporary the situation is. Ask yourself whether the problem threatens your life or only your pride. If it is only pride, perhaps you can let it become smaller. You do not have to carry every word, answer every person, or win every argument. You can protect your boundaries and still release hatred. You can value yourself without demanding that everyone values you. You can move forward without receiving the apology you wanted. Death will eventually make every ego battle meaningless. Wisdom allows you to see that before your final day arrives. Do not wait until life is almost over to discover how small these problems were. Let go now. Forgive what you can, apologize where you should, release the need to prove yourself, and spend your remaining days on what truly matters. Your time is limited, but peace is still possible. Choose it before pride consumes another piece of your life. Lesson 7. Live so fully that death does not find you unprepared. You cannot control how many years, months, or days you have left, but you can control how honestly and meaningfully you use the time that is still in your hands. Life does not become valuable because it is long. Life becomes valuable because you are awake enough to experience it. A person may live for many years while constantly delaying happiness, avoiding difficult decisions, hiding their true feelings, and waiting for the perfect moment to begin living. Another person may live for a shorter time, but fill every day with awareness, courage, gratitude, and love. Many people are physically alive, but emotionally absent from their own lives. They wake up thinking about what could go wrong, move through the day without noticing what is around them, and go to sleep, regretting what they failed to do. Their bodies are present, but their minds are trapped in yesterday or frightened by tomorrow. They continue breathing, but they are not deeply living. Buddhism teaches that awareness is the foundation of a meaningful life. To live fully does not mean traveling everywhere, becoming famous, or collecting expensive possessions. It means being present enough to recognize the value of ordinary moments. It means tasting your food instead of eating while worrying, listening when someone speaks instead of preparing your answer, and noticing the people you love before their absence teaches you their importance. You may believe that you will begin living when your problems disappear, but problems rarely disappear completely. When one challenge ends, another often takes its place. If you wait for a perfect life before allowing yourself to feel peaceful, you may spend your entire life waiting. Peace, does not begin when everything becomes easy. Peace begins when you learn to live wisely, even while life remains uncertain. Death does not always arrive after a long warning. It does not wait until your work is finished, your relationships are repaired, or your dreams are completed. It may arrive while you are still making plans for next week. It may arrive after an ordinary day when nothing seemed unusual. This is why Buddhism encourages you to remember death. The purpose is not to make you constantly afraid, but to stop you from living carelessly. When you remember that time is limited, you begin choosing differently. You stop saying yes to everything that drains you. You stop allowing small arguments to destroy important relationships. You stop delaying meaningful work because you are waiting to feel perfectly ready. You begin understanding that readiness may never come, but time will continue moving. Many people delay their dreams because they are afraid of failure. They imagine being criticized, rejected, or embarrassed. They tell themselves they will begin when they have more confidence, more money, or more support. Years pass, and the dream remains untouched. One day, they look back and realize that failure was not the greatest danger. The greatest danger was never trying. You may fail after taking action, but failure can teach you something. Avoidance teaches you nothing except how to continue avoiding. You may feel embarrassed for a few days after making a mistake, but regret can remain for years when you never give yourself the opportunity to begin. Living fully means accepting that you will not perform every action perfectly. You will make mistakes, trust some wrong people, miss opportunities, and sometimes choose a path that does not lead where you expected. These experiences do not mean you have wasted your life. They are part of being human. A meaningful life is not a perfect life. It is a life in which you continue learning, correcting yourself, and moving forward. You should not wait until the end of life to become the person you know you should be. If you know you need to apologize, do it while your words can still be heard. If you love someone, express it while they are still beside you. If you know a relationship is harming you, stop giving it another year simply because you are afraid of change. Life becomes painful when you keep postponing necessary decisions. You may remain in the wrong place because it feels familiar. You may continue following a path that makes you unhappy because you fear disappointing others. You may silence your truth because you want everyone to approve of you. Each delay may appear small, but together they can consume years. Death does not care how many people approved of your life. At the end, you will be the one who knows whether you lived honestly or performed for others. You will know how many dreams you buried, how many boundaries you ignored, and how many times you abandoned yourself to remain accepted. This does not mean that you should become selfish or ignore your responsibilities. It means that you should not spend your entire existence living according to the fears and expectations of other people. You can love your family, support others, and remain kind without sacrificing the truth of who you are. To live fully, you must learn to say no without feeling that you are a bad person. Every time you say yes to something that destroys your peace, you are saying no to something that may matter more. You have limited time, energy, and attention. You cannot give them to everything and still expect to feel alive. Some people will misunderstand you when you begin protecting your time. They may say you have changed when you stop allowing them to control you. They may call you selfish when you create boundaries. However, you are not required to destroy yourself to prove your kindness. You must decide which responsibilities are truly yours and which burdens you accepted because you were afraid of rejection. You cannot live fully while carrying every person's emotions, solving every problem, and trying to keep everyone happy. No matter how much you give, someone may still feel disappointed. Living fully requires courage because you must accept that not everyone will understand your decisions. Some people may only support the version of you that benefits them. When you grow, they may resist because your growth changes the relationship. You cannot stop growing just to keep others comfortable. Death makes this truth clearer. One day, The opinions that controlled you will no longer matter. The people who judged you will be gone, and you will be gone as well. How tragic would it be to reach the end and realize that you never lived your own life because you were too busy protecting your image inside temporary minds. Living fully also means appreciating your body before it begins to change. Many people criticize their appearance for years and only recognize the gift of health after illness arrives. They complain about their legs without appreciating that they can walk, criticize their face without appreciating that they can see and smile, and neglect their body as though it will serve them forever. Your body is temporary. It will age, weaken, and eventually stop. This is not a reason to hate it or become afraid. It is a reason to care for it while you can. Rest when you need rest. Move your body. Eat with awareness. And stop treating exhaustion as proof that you are important. You may be proud of how busy you are, but constant busyness can become another form of avoidance. Some people fill every hour because silence forces them to face their own thoughts. They continue working, scrolling, talking, and searching for distractions because they do not know how to sit peacefully with themselves. Buddhism teaches that stillness is not wasted time. When you sit quietly, you begin noticing what is happening inside you. You see the worries you have been carrying, the emotions you have been avoiding, and the desires that have been controlling you. Awareness gives you the opportunity to change before your habits consume more of your life. Living fully does not mean remaining active every moment. Sometimes living fully means resting without guilt. It means allowing your mind and body to recover instead of constantly treating yourself like a machine. You are not wasting life when you rest with awareness. You waste life when you remain exhausted and disconnected from everything that matters. You should also learn to enjoy simple moments without demanding that they become something greater. A cup of tea, a quiet morning, a conversation with a friend, or a walk beneath the sky may seem ordinary, but life is mostly made of ordinary moments. If you only feel alive during rare achievements or dramatic experiences, you will miss most of your existence. Many people chase extraordinary moments while ignoring the beauty that is already available. They believe happiness is waiting in another city, another relationship, another job, or another version of themselves. They keep moving toward the next thing and never fully arrive where they are. Buddhism reminds you that desire can become endless. You receive what you wanted, enjoy it briefly, and then begin wanting something else. Without awareness, your entire life can become a search for satisfaction that never remains. There is nothing wrong with having goals. Goals can provide direction and help you grow. The problem begins when you believe you cannot be peaceful until every goal is achieved. You can work toward a better future without rejecting your present life. You can desire improvement without treating yourself as incomplete. Living fully means walking toward your goals while still noticing the ground beneath your feet. It means being grateful for what you have without becoming lazy about what you can build. Gratitude and ambition can exist together when ambition is not driven by self-hatred. Death will not ask how many possessions you collected. It will not care how many people followed you, praised you, or envied you. The things that seem important to the ego may become completely meaningless during your final moments. You may care more about the people you loved, the kindness you offered, and whether you lived according to your deepest values. This is why relationships deserve your attention. The people around you are not permanent. A parent, friend, partner, or family member may appear to be part of your everyday life, but one day their chair may be empty. Their voice may become something you can only remember. Do not wait for someone's funeral to speak about their value. Do not save your kindest words for the day they can no longer hear them. Tell people what they mean to you while they are alive. Spend time with them before time becomes impossible. You do not have to agree on everything to appreciate someone. Every relationship will contain misunderstandings and difficult moments. The question is whether the conflict is truly more important than the connection. Some disagreements require boundaries, but others only require humility and patience. If the relationship is healthy, but your pride created distance, consider taking the first step. You do not lose dignity by choosing peace. You lose precious time when you wait for the other person to move first, simply because your ego refuses to become softer. At the same time, living fully does not mean remaining close to people who repeatedly harm you. Your life is too short to spend it begging for basic respect. You can forgive someone and still choose distance. You can wish them peace without inviting them back into your life. Wisdom means understanding which relationships need repair and which need release. Fear often makes you hold on to both. You may hold on to a good relationship because you are too proud to apologize, or hold on to a harmful relationship because you are afraid to be alone. Both choices can steal your limited time. You must be honest enough to recognize the difference. Ask whether the relationship helps you grow or keeps you in constant confusion. Ask whether love is present or whether you are only attached to memories and potential. Ask whether staying is an act of wisdom or an act of fear. Living fully also requires you to stop carrying the past everywhere you go. The past can teach you, but it should not become the place where you continue living. Some people repeat painful memories until they feel fresh every day. They allow an event that lasted a short time to control many years. You cannot change what happened. You cannot return to the moment and create a different ending. However, you can choose what meaning you continue giving it. You can allow the pain to make you bitter, or you can allow it to make you wiser. Healing does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without allowing the memory to control your present choices. It means no longer punishing yourself for what you did not know at the time. You made some decisions with limited wisdom, emotional pain, or incomplete information. Learn from them, but do not use them as permanent evidence that you are unworthy. Death may arrive long before you finally forgive yourself. Do not spend your whole life carrying guilt for a version of you that no longer exists. Make amends where possible, correct your behavior, and then allow yourself to move forward. Self-forgiveness does not remove responsibility, it gives responsibility a purpose. Without forgiveness, guilt keeps you trapped. With forgiveness, the mistake becomes a lesson that changes how you live. Living fully means becoming honest about what needs to change. Awareness without action can become another form of delay. You may know that a habit is damaging your health, that a relationship is destroying your peace, or that fear is preventing you from growing. Knowing is important, but transformation begins when you act. Do not wait for a powerful moment of motivation. Motivation changes from day to day. Begin with one small decision. Remove one harmful habit. Have one honest conversation. Take one step toward the work that matters, or spend 1 hour away from the distractions controlling you. A meaningful life is usually created through small decisions, repeated consistently. You do not need to rebuild everything in one day. You need to stop using the size of the journey as an excuse to remain where you are. Death finds many people still preparing to begin. They collected advice, watched others change, and imagined the person they wanted to become, but they never took the first uncomfortable step. Do not allow your life to remain only an idea. The person you want to become is created through what you choose today. Confidence grows when you act despite fear. Discipline grows when you continue without excitement. Peace grows when you stop feeding unnecessary thoughts. Your future is being shaped by ordinary decisions that may not seem important in the moment. You must also understand that living fully does not mean feeling happy all the time. Sadness, grief, fear, and disappointment are natural parts of life. Trying to avoid every painful emotion can make you live less deeply. Love creates the possibility of loss. Effort creates the possibility of failure. Connection creates the possibility of separation. The answer is not to avoid life so you cannot be hurt. The answer is to build the strength to experience both joy and pain without losing yourself. Buddhism teaches that emotions arise and pass away. You do not need to become every emotion that visits you. When sadness appears, allow yourself to feel it without believing it will last forever. When fear appears, listen to what it is trying to show you, but do not let it make every decision. When grief appears, understand that it exists because something mattered deeply. A full life contains both light and darkness. You cannot experience the beauty of connection without accepting that everything changes. You cannot love deeply while demanding that nobody ever leaves. The awareness of loss should not prevent love. It should make you love with greater presence. Death may find you during a happy season or a difficult one. You may not have completed every dream, solved every problem, or healed every wound. Being prepared does not mean your life must be perfect before it ends. It means you have stopped postponing what matters most. It means you have expressed your love, corrected what you could, released what you could not control, and lived according to your values as honestly as possible. It means you did not spend your entire life waiting for permission, certainty, or approval. Ask yourself what you would change if you knew you had only 1 year left. Would you continue giving so much attention to people who do not respect you? Would you keep delaying the dream that matters to you? Would you continue holding the same grudge? Would you spend as many hours worrying about things that may never happen? Now imagine that you had only 1 month. Which responsibilities would still feel important, and which ones would lose their power? Who would you call? What would you say? What would you stop pretending not to care about? You may not have 1 year or 1 month. You may have much longer, but you do not know. This uncertainty should not make you panic. It should help you stop wasting what is already here. Do not wait until death feels close before becoming alive. You can begin now by paying full attention to this day. Complete the work that genuinely matters, but do not forget to look at the sky. Build your future, but do not sacrifice every present moment for it. Speak gently, because your words may remain in someone's heart longer than you expect. Be honest, because maintaining a false life requires too much energy. Forgive carefully, apologize sincerely, and create boundaries without hatred. At night, ask yourself whether you were truly present. Did you listen to the people around you? Did you spend your energy on something meaningful, or did you lose another day to comparison and worry? Did your actions reflect the person you want to become? You will not always like your answer. Some days will be wasted, and some decisions will be poor. Do not turn one lost day into a lost life. Wake up the next morning and begin again. Awareness gives you another opportunity, as long as you are still breathing. The purpose is not to live every day as though you are in a constant emergency. That would create more fear. The purpose is to live with quiet understanding. You recognize that the moment is temporary, so you treat it with care. You stop rushing through conversations that may not happen again. You stop assuming that the people around you will always be available. You stop treating your own dreams as though there will always be more time. Life can end quickly, but worry makes you behave as though you will live forever. You delay joy, love, courage, and change because you believe another chance is guaranteed. Buddhism reminds you that another chance is possible, but never promised. Let this truth wake you up. Do not allow death to find you with every meaningful word still trapped inside you, every dream untouched, and your real life constantly postponed until tomorrow. Live with enough awareness that you can close your eyes each night, knowing you did not spend the entire day somewhere else inside your mind. Live with enough courage that fear does not choose every path. Live with enough love that the important people in your life never have to wonder whether they mattered. You cannot control when the final day arrives, but you can control whether the days before it were truly lived. Stop waiting for life to become perfect. Stop waiting for everyone to approve. Stop waiting for fear to disappear completely. Take the next honest step while you still can. Appreciate what is present while it is still here. Let go of what no longer deserves your time. Become peaceful enough to understand that this moment is not ordinary simply because it happens every day. One day, there will be no next morning, no second chance, and no opportunity to return. Until that day arrives, you are still here. Your breath is still moving, your choices still matter, and your life has not finished. Use it fully. Lesson 8. Stop waiting for life to become perfect before you live. Many people are not truly living because they are waiting for life to become easier first. They tell themselves they will become peaceful when the stress disappears, enjoy their days when they earn more money, feel confident when people approve of them, and begin following their dreams when the timing feels perfect. They continue waiting for a life without problems, but that life never arrives. There will always be something unfinished. There will always be another responsibility, another uncertainty, another bill, another difficult conversation, or another goal you have not yet reached. If you believe you must solve everything before you allow yourself to feel alive, you may spend your entire life preparing to live instead of actually living. Buddhism teaches that suffering often begins when you demand that life be different from what it is. You want every situation to follow your plans. You want people to behave as you expect, your body to remain strong, your work to remain secure, and your future to remain clear. When reality does not obey you, you become angry, anxious, or disappointed. The problem is not always the difficulty itself. Sometimes the greatest pain comes from the thought that the difficulty should not exist. You keep saying, "This should not be happening to me. My life should be better than this. I should already have everything figured out." These thoughts create another layer of suffering on top of the problem you are already facing. Acceptance does not mean you enjoy hardship or stop improving your circumstances. It means you stop wasting energy arguing with the fact that the present moment has already arrived. You see what is happening clearly, respond wisely, and continue living even while some parts of your life remain imperfect. Imagine standing outside on a rainy day and becoming angry because the sky is not sunny. You may complain, blame the weather, and refuse to move until the rain stops. However, the rain continues whether you accept it or not. Your anger does not change the sky. It only makes the experience more painful. You can still carry an umbrella, find shelter, or change your plans. Acceptance does not remove action. It removes the useless struggle against reality. You stop demanding sunshine before taking the next step. Life works in the same way. Some seasons will be peaceful, while others will be difficult. Some doors will open easily, while others will remain closed, despite your effort. Some people will understand you, while others will judge you without knowing your story. You cannot wait for every condition to become favorable before allowing yourself to live. You may be waiting for money before feeling secure. You believe that once you earn a certain amount, all your fear will disappear. Money can provide comfort, protection, and opportunity, but it cannot remove every uncertainty. A person with little money may worry about survival, while a wealthy person may worry about losing what they have. The mind can create another fear at every level. When you reach one financial goal, you may immediately create a larger one. You may continue telling yourself that peace is just one achievement away. Years later, you may have more possessions, but still possess the same restless mind. There is nothing wrong with wanting financial stability. You should work, plan, save, and create a better life. However, do not make the mistake of believing that your current life has no value until you become successful. Your present days are not meaningless simply because your future goals remain unfinished. You can work toward improvement while still appreciating what already exists. You can be ambitious without hating your current position. You can build tomorrow without treating today like something you must escape. Some people are waiting for the right relationship before they begin enjoying life. They believe another person will remove their loneliness, heal their wounds, and make every ordinary day meaningful. They postpone travel, hobbies, peace, and personal growth because they are waiting for someone to arrive. When they enter a relationship, they may become afraid of losing it because they made that person responsible for their entire happiness. Their joy becomes dependent on messages, attention, approval, and the other person's mood. What they hoped would create freedom becomes another source of worry. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering when you demand that another person complete you. Love can be beautiful, but no human being can permanently protect you from loneliness, uncertainty, or change. Every relationship is temporary, and every person carries their own struggles. You can love someone deeply without making them responsible for your inner peace. You can enjoy companionship without abandoning your own life. When you learn to create meaning within yourself, love becomes something you share rather than something you desperately need to survive. Do not wait for someone to appear before you begin becoming the person you want to be. Read the book, take the walk, build the skill, care for your body, and create moments you enjoy. A relationship should add to your life, not become the place where your life finally begins. Others are waiting for confidence before taking action. They believe confident people feel no fear, so they wait for fear to disappear. But confidence often comes after action, not before it. You become confident by doing difficult things while still feeling uncertain. The first attempt may feel uncomfortable. Your voice may shake, your work may be imperfect, and others may not immediately support you. This does not mean you are not ready. It means you are doing something new. The mind often uses perfection as a disguise for fear. It tells you that you need more time, more knowledge, and a better plan. Sometimes preparation is necessary, but endless preparation can become a safe place where you never risk failure. You may spend months watching videos, reading advice, and imagining your future without taking one real step. Learning makes you feel productive, but action is what changes your life. At some point, you must stop preparing to begin and simply begin. Your first effort does not need to impress anyone. It only needs to exist. You can improve something that exists, but you cannot improve something you refuse to start. Allow yourself to be inexperienced. Every skilled person was once uncertain, slow, and imperfect. Death makes endless delay dangerous. You may believe you have years to begin, but time is not guaranteed. The project you postpone, the conversation you avoid, and the dream you continue hiding may never receive another opportunity. This does not mean you should rush into every decision without thinking. It means you should stop using uncertainty as a permanent excuse. You may never receive complete certainty. Life rarely provides a sign that says, "Now everything is safe. You may begin." Courage means moving without that guarantee. Many people also wait for healing before participating in life again. After being hurt, betrayed, or disappointed, they tell themselves they must become completely healed before they trust, smile, create, or open their hearts. They treat healing like a final destination where pain disappears forever. Healing is often slower and less perfect than that. You may have good days and then suddenly remember something painful. You may feel strong in the morning and emotionally tired at night. This does not mean you are failing. It means healing is happening in a human way. You do not need to become completely free from pain before experiencing joy. Sadness and happiness can exist in the same season. You may still carry a wound and laugh honestly with someone you love. You may still miss what you lost and remain grateful for what is present. Do not make your pain the gatekeeper of your entire life. Respect your emotions, give yourself time, and seek support when needed, but continue allowing small moments of beauty to reach you. Healing does not always happen before living. Sometimes healing happens because you slowly return to life. You heal by creating new memories, meeting healthier people, developing stronger boundaries, and discovering that one painful experience does not define your entire future. You heal by proving to yourself that life can still contain peace after loss. The mind may tell you that enjoying life means you have forgotten what happened. It may make you feel guilty for moving forward. But continuing to suffer does not honor the past. You are allowed to carry the lesson without carrying the same pain forever. Some people wait for the past to change before they move on. They keep imagining a different ending, a better decision, or the apology they never received. They believe they cannot find peace until the person who hurt them finally understands what they did. You may never receive that understanding. They may never apologize, accept responsibility, or see the situation from your side. If your peace depends on their growth, you are allowing them to control your future even after they have left. You cannot wait forever for another person to become wise enough to give you closure. Sometimes, closure is accepting that the explanation will never come. It is understanding that you can move forward without receiving every answer. The past cannot return and repair itself. You can only decide what you will do with what it taught you. You can use the pain to create better boundaries, deeper awareness, and greater compassion for yourself. You may never understand why everything happened, but you can still refuse to let it destroy what happens next. Waiting for perfect conditions also affects your relationships with the people who are still present. You may think you will spend more time with your family when work becomes less demanding. You may call an old friend after completing your responsibilities. You may express gratitude later when life feels calmer. But life may never feel calm enough. One task ends and another begins. Days become months, and months become years. The people you assumed would always be available begin changing, aging, or moving away. One day, you may finally have free time, but the person you wanted to spend it with may no longer be there. This is why presence must become a choice, not something you wait to receive from your schedule. You do not need several empty hours to show someone they matter. A sincere conversation, a thoughtful message, or a few minutes of full attention can become meaningful. The problem is not always lack of time. Often, it is the belief that there will always be another chance. You may sit beside someone while looking at your phone, worrying about tomorrow, or thinking about work. Physically, you are present, but your attention is elsewhere. Later, you may remember their face and wish you had truly looked at them. Living fully means understanding that attention is love. When you give someone your complete attention, you are giving them a piece of your limited life. Do not waste every shared moment by mentally living somewhere else. Buddhism teaches mindfulness because the present moment is where life is experienced. You cannot taste yesterday's meal or feel tomorrow's sunlight. You can only experience what is happening now. The present may not feel exciting. It may contain chores, responsibilities, discomfort, or uncertainty. Yet this ordinary moment is still part of your life. If you reject every moment that does not feel extraordinary, you will reject most of your existence. Your life is made of simple experiences repeated over time. Waking up, preparing food, speaking to people, working, resting, walking, and breathing may seem unimportant. But when life approaches its end, these ordinary moments may be the ones you miss most. You may not miss stressful achievements as much as you miss a familiar voice, a quiet room, a morning cup of tea, or the feeling of being healthy enough to walk without pain. Do not wait for a dramatic event to make you grateful. Gratitude is the ability to recognize value before loss teaches it to you. You may complain about your home until you lose it. You may criticize your body until illness changes it. You may become impatient with someone's voice until silence replaces it. You may ignore peaceful days because nothing exciting happened, only to miss them when difficulty arrives. Gratitude does not mean pretending everything is good. It means noticing that even inside an imperfect life, something may still deserve appreciation. You may have a problem and still have a place to rest. You may feel uncertain and still have someone who cares. You may be tired and still possess another opportunity to begin again. The worried mind focuses only on what is missing. The aware mind also sees what remains. Waiting for perfection can make you blind to progress. You may have improved greatly, but because you have not reached the final goal, you tell yourself you have achieved nothing. You compare your beginning with someone else's advanced position and feel ashamed. This kind of comparison makes growth difficult to enjoy. You continue moving forward, but feel as though you are always behind. No achievement feels enough because the ego immediately finds someone who has more. Your life is not a race against everyone around you. Another person's speed does not determine whether your journey has meaning. Some people begin with more support, money, opportunity, or knowledge. Comparing only the visible result ignores the hidden differences in every life. Measure your growth against who you were before. Are you more aware than last year? Are you making wiser decisions? Are you learning to protect your peace, manage your emotions, and treat yourself with greater respect? These changes may not impress the world, but they can transform your life. Do not wait until you become your final version before respecting yourself. There may never be a final version. You will continue learning and changing as long as you live. Self-respect must not depend on perfection. You can acknowledge your weaknesses without hating yourself. You can take responsibility for mistakes without believing you are a failure. A person who hates themselves may change temporarily through fear, but a person who understands themselves can change through wisdom. Buddhism teaches compassion, and that compassion must include the person you see in the mirror. You are also a human being trying to understand life. You will make mistakes because your knowledge is limited. You will sometimes react from fear, attachment, or pain. The goal is not to excuse every mistake. The goal is to learn without turning the lesson into self-destruction. Shame says, "I am terrible and cannot change." Awareness says, "That action was unwise, and I will choose differently next time." One keeps you trapped. The other gives you a path forward. Many people waste years punishing themselves for decisions made by a younger version who did not understand what they understand now. They look back with today's wisdom and judge yesterday's choices. But you did not possess today's knowledge then. You may have trusted the wrong person because you wanted love. You may have stayed too long because you feared loneliness. You may have ignored opportunities because you lacked confidence. Learn from those choices, but do not spend the rest of your life attacking the person who was trying to survive. Forgive yourself enough to grow. Waiting for perfect certainty also creates indecision. You may continue thinking about two paths, afraid of choosing the wrong one. You imagine every possible outcome and believe there must be one decision that guarantees success. Most important decisions do not offer guarantees. Every path carries opportunity and risk. Even a wise choice can lead to difficulty, while a mistake can sometimes lead to unexpected growth. You cannot see the full future from where you stand. You can gather information, consider your values, and make the best decision available. After that, you must accept uncertainty. Refusing to choose is also a choice. While you remain still, time continues moving. Opportunities may close, relationships may change, and your fear may become stronger. Sometimes you do not need more information. You need the courage to accept that no decision comes with complete protection. Choose with awareness and be willing to adjust as you learn. Life is not a straight road where every step must be correct. It is a changing path. You may need to turn around, begin again, or admit that something is no longer right for you. Changing direction does not always mean you failed. It may mean you became honest. The ego may keep you on the wrong path because it fears embarrassment. You may remain in an unhappy career, relationship, or lifestyle because you do not want others to say you made a mistake. You continue suffering to protect your image. But the people judging you do not have to live inside your choices. They may speak for a few minutes and then return to their own lives, while you continue carrying the consequences every day. Do not sacrifice years to avoid temporary judgment. You are allowed to change your mind when new wisdom arrives. Waiting for life to become perfect also prevents rest. You tell yourself you will slow down after everything is complete. But there is always another task. You continue pushing your body and mind as though exhaustion is a sign of strength. Rest is not something you must earn by destroying yourself first. Your body has limits, and ignoring them does not make you disciplined. It makes you disconnected from reality. Buddhism values balance. Effort is necessary, but effort without awareness becomes harmful. A string pulled too tightly will break, while one left too loose cannot produce music. Your life also needs the right tension between action and rest. You should work toward what matters, but you must also create space to breathe. A tired mind sees every problem as larger. It becomes impatient, emotional, and unable to think clearly. Rest can help you return with greater wisdom. Do not wait until illness forces you to stop. Learn to stop willingly. You do not need a perfect vacation, expensive experience, or completely free schedule to rest. You can begin with a quiet walk, a few minutes without your phone, deeper sleep, or an evening without unnecessary pressure. Small moments of rest can remind you that you are a human being, not a machine created only to produce. Some people fear slowing down because their identity is built entirely around achievement. Without work, they do not know who they are. Silence makes them uncomfortable because it reveals how much of their life depends on external success. But achievements cannot protect you from death. Titles, praise, and possessions will eventually remain behind. You should build, create, and contribute, but remember that your worth is not equal to your productivity. You matter even during the moments when you are not proving anything. The search for a perfect life may also make you reject your current self. You imagine a future version who is more attractive, successful, disciplined, and confident. You treat that person with admiration while treating your present self with disappointment. But the future version can only be created by the person you are now. If you constantly insult, exhaust, and reject yourself, change becomes harder. Growth requires discipline, but discipline does not need hatred. Speak to yourself with honesty and respect. Say, I am not where I want to be, but I am willing to take the next step. This is more powerful than saying, I am worthless until I change. One creates movement, the other creates paralysis. The truth is that no version of your life will be completely perfect. Even after reaching important goals, you will face new responsibilities and losses. Your body will change, people will leave, plans will fail, and uncertainty will remain. Peace cannot depend on removing these realities. It must come from learning how to live with them wisely. You may not control every event, but you can choose how much attention you give it. You may not prevent change, but you can become less afraid of changing with life. You may not remove every painful emotion, but you can stop treating pain as proof that life has no value. A meaningful life is not a life without difficulty. It is a life where difficulty does not prevent love, gratitude, courage, or awareness. Stop saying, I will live when this problem ends. Begin asking, how can I live wisely while this problem is here? This question changes everything. Perhaps you can still enjoy a meal while your future remains uncertain. Perhaps you can still speak kindly while you are stressed. Perhaps you can still take one step toward your dream while feeling afraid. Perhaps you can still notice beauty while carrying sadness. You do not need the whole road to become clear. You only need enough awareness to take the next step. The present moment may be imperfect, but it is still alive. It still contains choices. You can choose patience instead of anger, action instead of endless thinking, gratitude instead of constant comparison, and rest instead of complete exhaustion. These choices may seem small, but a life is built from small moments. Death may arrive before every problem is solved. It may find your home unfinished, your goals incomplete, and some questions unanswered. Being prepared does not mean completing everything. It means you stopped refusing to live because everything was not complete. It means you allowed yourself to love while knowing love was temporary. You worked toward your goals without ignoring the people around you. You accepted that fear might remain and acted with courage anyway. You stopped waiting for permission, certainty, and perfection. Ask yourself how much longer you will delay your life. How many more mornings will you treat as preparation for a better future? How many peaceful moments will you ignore because one part of your life remains difficult? You may believe you are waiting for life, but life is not waiting for you. It is moving through every breath, every conversation, and every ordinary day. The future you are waiting for may come, but when it does, it will also arrive as another present moment. If you never learn to live now, you may not know how to live then. Learn to be present before everything becomes perfect, because everything may never become perfect. Appreciate what is here, while improving what you can. Release the demand that life must follow your plan before it deserves your attention. Your problems may be real, but so is the sunlight outside your window. Your uncertainty may be real, but so is the person sitting beside you. Your fear may be real, but so is your ability to take one courageous step. Do not allow one imperfect part of life to make you blind to everything that still contains value. You are alive today, and that is already an opportunity. Use it before another day quietly disappears. Lesson 9. Stop borrowing pain from a future that has not arrived. Many people carry pain that life has not yet given them. They wake up in the morning and immediately begin imagining what may go wrong. They worry that someone may leave, money may disappear, health may become weaker, plans may fail, or tomorrow may bring something they cannot handle. Before any of these things happen, the mind begins suffering as though they have already become real. This is one of the cruelest habits of worry. It makes you experience future pain in advance. The difficult event may never happen, but the fear you feel today is still real. Your heart becomes heavy, your body becomes tense, and your peaceful moment disappears because your imagination has traveled into a future that does not yet exist. Buddhism teaches that the mind can create suffering by becoming attached to thoughts. A thought appears, and instead of seeing it as only a thought, you begin treating it like a prediction. You imagine one possible future and then react as though it is the only future available. You may receive a delayed message and immediately think, something is wrong. You may make one small mistake and think, I am going to lose everything. You may feel a small pain in your body and imagine the worst illness. You may notice someone acting differently and decide they no longer care about you. In each situation, the mind takes incomplete information and creates a complete story. The story is often negative because the worried mind believes that expecting the worst will keep you safe. It thinks that fear is preparation. But fear and preparation are not the same. Preparation is calm and practical. It asks, what can I do? Fear asks, what if everything goes wrong? Preparation creates a plan and then allows you to continue living. Fear repeats the same possibilities until you feel exhausted. If you are worried about money, preparation may involve making a budget, saving what you can, learning a skill, or reducing unnecessary spending. Worry means lying awake imagining poverty while taking no useful action. If you are worried about your health, preparation may involve visiting a doctor, changing your habits, resting properly, or following professional advice. Worry means checking every sensation, imagining the worst diagnosis, and losing sleep before you even know whether there is a problem. If you are concerned about a relationship, preparation may involve having an honest conversation, observing the person's behavior, or creating healthy boundaries. Worry means reading hidden meanings into every message and imagining the ending before anything has actually ended. One helps you respond to life. The other forces you to suffer before life has even made a demand. You must learn to notice when you are preparing and when you are only borrowing pain. Borrowed pain is the suffering you create for an event that has not happened. It is like paying a debt that you may never owe. You spend today's peace on tomorrow's possibilities, And when tomorrow arrives, the feared event may not be there at all. Even when a difficult event does happen, worrying in advance does not make it easier. Suppose you spend 6 months afraid that a relationship will end, and then it does. You may believe your worry prepared you, but in reality, you suffered for 6 months before the true pain even began. You did not protect yourself. You extended the suffering. If the relationship does not end, you still lose those 6 months because you were emotionally absent from the love that was present. You were so afraid of losing the person that you could not enjoy being with them. This is how worry takes from you in both directions. If the feared event happens, you suffer twice. If it does not happen, you suffered for nothing. Buddhism teaches you to return to what is true now. This does not mean ignoring the future. It means refusing to live inside a future created only by fear. Ask yourself, what do I know in this moment? Not what do you suspect, imagine, or fear. What do you actually know? You may know that the message has not been answered. You do not know why. You may know that money is limited. You do not know that everything will collapse. You may know that your body feels tired. You do not know that you are seriously ill. You may know that one plan failed. You do not know that your entire future is ruined. The worried mind dislikes uncertainty, so it fills the unknown with negative answers. Awareness teaches you to leave the unknown empty until reality provides more information. Saying, "I do not know yet," can be more peaceful and more honest than creating a painful story. Many people believe uncertainty is dangerous, but uncertainty also means that good possibilities remain open. If you do not know what will happen, then the worst outcome is not guaranteed. The future may contain difficulty, but it may also contain help, opportunity, healing, and strength you cannot currently imagine. Your mind may be showing you only one ending because fear is not creative. Fear repeats the same dark pictures. Life, however, is often more surprising than your predictions. Think about how many times you feared something that never happened. Perhaps you worried about a conversation that went better than expected. You imagined failure and then succeeded. You thought a painful season would never end, but it slowly changed. You believed you could not survive a loss, yet you are still here. Your history already contains evidence that your fearful thoughts are not always correct. The mind often predicts pain, but forgets to predict your strength. It shows you the difficult event, but does not show you the people who may support you, the wisdom you may gain, or the courage that may appear when it is needed. You imagine the problem with your current understanding and forget that the future version of you may be stronger, calmer, and more prepared. You do not have to solve tomorrow with today's strength. Tomorrow will bring new information, new choices, and perhaps new help. Your responsibility is to use the strength you have for this moment. Imagine carrying every bag you may need for an entire journey at the same time. You carry food for next month, clothes for every season, tools for every possible problem, and supplies for dangers that may never appear. You would become exhausted before leaving the first road. Worry makes the mind do something similar. It tries to carry every possible future at once. It wants to prepare for rejection, illness, failure, loss, conflict, and disappointment before any of them arrive. No human mind can carry all of that and remain peaceful. Life is meant to be met one moment at a time. You do not need the strength for every future difficulty today. You need enough wisdom for the step in front of you. This does not mean you should be careless. Buddhism does not teach you to ignore responsibility. It teaches you to act without becoming mentally attached to fear. You can prepare for tomorrow while still living today. You can save money without becoming obsessed with poverty. You can care for your health without constantly imagining death. You can love someone without spending every day expecting them to leave. The difference is whether your action is guided by wisdom or fear. Wisdom is clear. Fear is repetitive. Wisdom takes a step. Fear circles the same thought. Wisdom knows when enough preparation has been made. Fear never feels prepared Because it demands complete certainty. Complete certainty is impossible. No plan can protect you from every change. No relationship can promise that nobody will leave. No amount of money can guarantee that difficulty will never appear. No healthy habit can make the body permanent. When you demand perfect protection from life, worry becomes endless. Peace begins when you accept that uncertainty is part of being alive. You stop trying to remove every possible danger and begin trusting your ability to respond when life changes. This trust is not blind optimism. It is remembering that you have already faced things you once believed you could not handle. There were moments when you felt broken, confused, and afraid. Perhaps you thought you would never recover, yet you continued. You learned something, adapted, found help, or simply survived one day at a time. Your life may not have unfolded as you planned, but you are still standing. Worry tells you that future pain will destroy you. Your past reminds you that pain may change you, but it does not always end you. You may not handle every difficulty perfectly. You may cry, struggle, feel lost, or need support. Strength does not mean remaining untouched. Strength means continuing, even when life affects you deeply. You do not need to become emotionally cold to stop worrying. Some people believe the only way to avoid pain is to stop caring. They avoid love, trust, dreams, and responsibility because each one contains risk. But avoiding life does not create peace. It creates emptiness. You can care deeply without demanding guarantees. You can love someone while knowing the relationship is temporary. You can pursue a dream while accepting that failure is possible. You can enjoy health while knowing the body will change. Buddhism teaches non-attachment, but non-attachment does not mean refusing connection. It means allowing yourself to experience life without believing you can own or control it forever. You hold people gently instead of tightly. You appreciate them without demanding that they never change. You work toward goals without making your entire worth depend on the result. Worry often grows from attachment, because attachment says, "This must remain exactly as it is." The moment you believe you cannot survive change, every possible change becomes frightening. You become afraid of losing money because you believe money is your safety. You become afraid of losing a person because you believe they are your entire source of love. You become afraid of failure because you believe success proves your value. The more your identity depends on temporary things, the more worry controls you. Freedom begins when you understand that temporary things can be meaningful without becoming your entire identity. You can value your work without becoming only your job. You can love a person without becoming unable to live without their approval. You can appreciate possessions without believing they define your worth. Everything outside you can change. Your deeper task is to build a mind that can remain aware through change. This is why meditation and mindfulness are central in Buddhism. They train you to observe thoughts instead of immediately obeying them. You learn that a thought can enter the mind and leave without becoming a command. A worried thought may say, "Something terrible will happen." You do not need to argue with it or prove it wrong. You can simply notice, "My mind is creating a frightening possibility." This small distance between you and the thought creates freedom. Without awareness, the thought becomes your reality. With awareness, it becomes one passing event inside the mind. Imagine sitting beside a river and watching leaves move across the water. You do not jump into the river and follow every leaf. You allow each one to appear and disappear. Thoughts can be observed in the same way. One leaf may contain fear, another regret, and another an imagined disaster. You do not need to travel with all of them. The worried mind often says, "But what if this thought is warning me?" Sometimes a concern may contain useful information. Awareness does not mean ignoring every thought. It means examining it clearly. Ask whether the thought points to a real action. If it does, take that action. If it only repeats fear without offering anything useful, let it pass. For example, the thought, "I should prepare for tomorrow's meeting" contains an action. You can prepare and then rest. The thought, "Everyone will think I am a failure and my whole future will be destroyed," is a story, not a practical instruction. Learn to separate the useful message from the emotional exaggeration. Worry often uses words such as always, never, everything, and nothing. One mistake becomes, "I always fail." One rejection becomes, "Nobody will ever love me." One difficult period becomes, "My life will never improve." These words make temporary events feel permanent. Buddhism reminds you that everything changes. No emotion, problem, success, failure, or season remains exactly the same forever. The worried mind speaks in permanent language about an impermanent world. When you hear yourself thinking in extremes, return to reality. Instead of saying, "Everything is falling apart," say, "One part of my life is difficult right now." Instead of saying, "I will never recover," say, "I do not know how long healing will take." Honest language reduces unnecessary suffering. You do not have to make the situation beautiful. You only need to stop making it larger than it is. Sometimes worry becomes a habit because you have repeated it for years. Your mind begins searching for danger even when life is calm. Peace feels unfamiliar, so you become suspicious of it. You may think, "Things are going well, so something bad must be coming." Instead of enjoying the calm season, you wait for it to end. This habit often develops after painful experiences. If life surprised you with loss before, the mind may try to protect you by expecting loss everywhere. It believes constant alertness will prevent you from being hurt again. But the mind cannot protect you by never allowing you to rest. Living in constant alertness slowly becomes another form of suffering. You can respect what happened in the past without allowing it to define every future moment. One person betrayed you, but not every person will. One plan failed, but not every effort will. One painful surprise happened, but not every surprise will bring pain. Your nervous system may need time to learn safety again. Be patient with yourself, but do not keep feeding the belief that danger is everywhere. Begin by allowing small, peaceful moments to remain peaceful. When nothing is wrong, resist the urge to search for a problem. Notice the quiet without immediately asking when it will end. You can say, "This moment is safe, and I am allowed to experience it." Worry also grows when you consume too much negative information. You may spend hours reading about disasters, conflicts, illnesses, failures, and tragedies. The mind begins believing that danger is closer and more common than it truly is. Awareness requires protecting what repeatedly enters your attention. This does not mean becoming ignorant of the world. It means refusing to fill your mind with more fear than you can meaningfully use. Ask whether the information helps you act wisely or only makes you feel helpless. If it only increases fear, create distance. Your attention is limited. Every frightening story you consume occupies space that could have held peace, learning, creativity, or meaningful connection. You do not need to know every terrible thing that happens in order to be responsible. You need enough awareness to make wise choices without allowing endless information to destroy your inner balance. Worry may also come from conversations. Some people constantly discuss everything that could go wrong. They treat fear as realism and peace as foolishness. After spending time with them, you may begin carrying worries that were never yours. Be careful about whose voice becomes part of your inner voice. This does not mean avoiding everyone who is struggling. Compassion matters, but you can listen to someone without absorbing every fear they express. You can care without allowing their anxiety to become your identity. Healthy boundaries are not only physical, they are also mental and emotional. You must decide which thoughts, stories, and opinions deserve a permanent place inside your mind. The future will come whether you worry or not. Some parts may be beautiful, and some may be difficult. Worry cannot control which one arrives. What worry can control is whether you experience today. You may be standing in a peaceful room while your mind is living through a disaster that exists only as imagination. You may be beside people you love while mentally preparing for their absence. You may have enough today while suffering over what may be missing next year. This is how life passes unnoticed. One day, you may look back and realize that many of the days you feared were actually safe. The people were still there, your body was still working, and the situation was manageable. But you could not feel the safety because your attention was always somewhere else. Do not wait until the peaceful season ends before recognizing that it was peaceful. Look around now. What is true in this moment? Perhaps you are breathing without pain. Perhaps there is food nearby, a roof above you, or someone you can contact. Perhaps not everything is good, but not everything is wrong either. The worried mind focuses only on what could be lost. Awareness also notices what remains. Gratitude does not deny uncertainty. It balances your attention. It reminds you that while the future is unknown, the present may still contain something valuable. You can be concerned about tomorrow and grateful for today at the same time. The goal is not to force yourself into false positivity. It is to stop allowing fear to become the only truth you can see. When worry arrives, return to the body. The body lives only in the present. Feel your feet touching the ground, your hands resting, and your breath moving through you. The mind may be 10 years in the future, but the body is still here. Take a slow breath and ask, what is required of me in this exact moment? The answer is usually smaller than the entire future your mind is trying to solve. Perhaps you need to send one email, complete one task, drink water, rest, ask for help, or do nothing until more information arrives. You do not need to solve your entire life during one worried evening. Break the future into the next clear action. After that action is complete, return to the present. Do not keep thinking simply because your mind believes more thought must create more control. Sometimes the wisest action is to stop thinking. You can tell yourself, I have considered this enough for today. Write down what must be remembered, create a plan, and then give yourself permission to rest. Rest is not irresponsibility. A tired mind often exaggerates danger. Sleep, food, movement, and silence can change how a problem appears. You may not need another hour of thinking. You may need recovery. Worry also becomes stronger at night because the world becomes quiet and distractions disappear. Small concerns can feel enormous when you are exhausted. Thoughts that seem impossible at midnight often become manageable in the morning. Do not make every life decision while tired and afraid. Remind yourself that the mind is not always a reliable guide when the body needs rest. Say, this problem can wait until morning unless immediate action is required. The future does not need to be solved before you sleep. Buddhism teaches that peace comes from letting go, but letting go is often misunderstood. It does not mean you no longer care about what happens. It means you stop believing that constant mental control can protect you. You act where action is possible and release where control ends. This may need to be repeated many times. The mind will return to the same fear because habits do not disappear after one realization. Each time it returns, bring yourself back gently. Do not become angry at yourself for worrying. Anger adds another layer of suffering. Notice the habit, name it, and return. You can say, my mind is trying to protect me, but this thought is not useful now. Compassion toward yourself makes awareness easier. Harshness often makes anxiety stronger because you begin worrying about the fact that you are worried. You are not weak because your mind creates fear. The human mind is designed to notice possible danger. The problem begins when every possibility is treated as an emergency. Training the mind requires patience. Each time you choose the present over an imagined disaster, you strengthen a new habit. You may still worry, but you will follow the thought less often. You may still feel fear, but it will no longer control the entire day. This is freedom. Not the complete absence of difficult thoughts, but the ability to stop becoming every thought that appears. Remember that the future has not asked you to suffer yet. Do not volunteer your peace before life requires your strength. When difficulty arrives, meet it then. Bring your full attention, courage, and wisdom to the real situation. Until then, remain where your life is actually happening. You may think worry proves that you care, but love does not need constant fear. Responsibility does not need endless suffering. You can care deeply and still allow yourself peace. You can prepare wisely without living like disaster has already arrived. The people you love do not need you mentally attending their funeral while they are still sitting beside you. Your future does not need you grieving failure before you have tried. Your body does not need you imagining its ending while it is still carrying you through today. Be present with what is here. Speak to the person. Begin the work. Eat the meal. Notice the sky. Feel the breath. Allow the calm moment to remain calm. Tomorrow may bring a challenge, but today has already brought life. Do not trade what is real for what is only possible. Do not borrow pain from a future that may never come. Let tomorrow carry its own weight when it arrives. Your responsibility is to meet this moment with awareness and use it before it disappears. Lesson 10. Do not let fear of death prevent you from living. Many people say they are afraid of death, but what they truly fear is losing control. They fear not knowing when life will end, what will happen afterward, and whether they will have enough time to complete everything they planned. Because these questions have no certain answers, the mind keeps returning to them, hoping that more thinking will create safety. However, some questions cannot be solved through endless thought. No matter how carefully you plan, you cannot guarantee the length of your life. No matter how healthy, careful, or successful you become, uncertainty will remain. When you refuse to accept this, fear begins controlling the life you are trying so hard to protect. You may avoid taking risks because something could go wrong. You may refuse to travel because you imagine danger. You may avoid love because relationships can end. You may silence your dreams because failure feels frightening. You may stay inside familiar routines, believing that a smaller life is a safer life. But avoiding everything that could hurt you does not protect you from death. It only protects you from fully living. Buddhism teaches that life and death are not completely separate. They are part of the same changing process. Every beginning moves toward an ending. Every breath enters and leaves. Every season appears and disappears. Every living thing changes from one form to another. When you understand this deeply, death becomes less like a sudden enemy and more like a natural part of existence. This does not remove all sadness or fear, but it can help you stop treating death as though it is an unnatural mistake that should never happen. A flower does not fail because it eventually fades. A sunset does not become meaningless because darkness follows. A person's life does not lose its value because it is temporary. In fact, temporary things often become precious because they cannot be kept forever. If you knew a beautiful song would continue endlessly, you might stop listening carefully. If a sunset remained in the sky forever, you might stop noticing it. If the people you love could never leave, you might take their presence for granted. Impermanence gives urgency to love. It reminds you to pay attention. Yet many people respond to impermanence in the opposite way. Instead of becoming more present, they become more afraid. They begin worrying about every possible loss. They protect themselves from joy because joy may end. They may think, why become attached if I could lose this? They avoid opening their hearts because grief seems unbearable. They believe emotional distance will protect them from pain, but emotional distance also prevents connection. You cannot fully love while constantly preparing to escape. You cannot deeply enjoy someone's presence while mentally rehearsing their absence. Fear may tell you that staying detached is wise, but sometimes it is only another way of refusing to live. Buddhism does not teach you to become cold or uncaring. Non-attachment does not mean refusing love. It means loving without trying to own, control, or freeze another person in time. You understand that they are temporary, so you treat them gently. You appreciate them while they are here. You stop demanding that they promise something life itself cannot promise. Love becomes deeper when it is freed from possession. You may say, "I love you, and I know both of us will change." You may say, "I value this moment, even though I cannot keep it forever." This kind of love is more honest than demanding permanence from a temporary world. Fear of death often makes people become obsessed with safety. They carefully avoid anything uncertain, but life itself is uncertain. Even remaining still contains risk. Avoiding a dream may protect you from failure, but it also guarantees that the dream remains unlived. Avoiding a relationship may protect you from heartbreak, but it also prevents intimacy. Avoiding change may protect you from discomfort, but it can trap you inside a life that no longer fits who you are. Safety is important, but complete safety does not exist. You can make wise decisions, protect your health, and avoid unnecessary danger. However, wisdom is different from allowing fear to make every choice. Wisdom asks whether the risk is meaningful and reasonable. Fear rejects every uncertain path simply because certainty is unavailable. There may be something you have wanted to do for years, but fear keeps telling you to wait. Perhaps you want to speak publicly, begin a project, change your career, leave an unhealthy situation, or travel somewhere new. The mind creates a long list of everything that could go wrong. Some of those concerns may be valid and require preparation. Others may be exaggerated stories created to keep you inside what is familiar. Ask yourself whether the fear is protecting your life or merely protecting your comfort. Comfort can feel like safety, but it can slowly become a prison. You may remain in the same routine because it feels predictable, even when it makes you unhappy. Each day looks similar, and because nothing changes, you tell yourself nothing dangerous is happening. Yet time is still passing. The danger may not be that something terrible happens. The danger may be that nothing meaningful happens because you were too afraid to begin. One day, you may realize that fear did not save your life. It simply made your life smaller. Death will come whether you followed your dreams or abandoned them. The question is not whether death can be avoided. The question is whether fear will be allowed to make you emotionally absent before death even arrives. Some people spend so much time trying not to die that they forget to live. They monitor every sensation, imagine every illness, and treat the body as though it must be protected from every possible change. Caring for your health is wise. Living in constant terror of illness is not. You should eat well, rest, move your body, and seek medical guidance when needed. After doing what you reasonably can, you must still allow yourself to live. The purpose of health is not merely to extend existence. It is to help you participate in life. A long life filled entirely with fear may feel shorter than a shorter life filled with presence. This does not mean lifespan has no value. Life is precious, and preserving it matters. The lesson is that length alone does not create meaning. Meaning comes from how you use the time you have. You can live many years without being honest, loving, courageous, or aware. You can spend decades chasing approval and never feel truly present. Buddhism asks you to wake up now rather than waiting for age or illness to force awareness upon you. Many people only begin appreciating life after facing death closely. A serious illness, accident, or loss suddenly changes their priorities. Things that once felt important become small. Arguments lose their power. Work becomes less important than health. Pride becomes less important than love. They begin noticing ordinary mornings and simple conversations. They realize that being alive was already extraordinary, but they had been too distracted to see it. You do not need to experience tragedy before understanding this. You can allow the possibility of death to teach you before it takes something away. You can begin noticing what you usually ignore. Feel your breathing. Notice the ability to move your hands, hear sounds, and see the people around you. These abilities may feel ordinary because you experience them every day, but they are not guaranteed. Gratitude becomes deeper when you understand impermanence. This does not require you to spend every moment thinking about death. That would create another form of fear. The goal is a quiet awareness that helps you choose more wisely. You remember that time is limited, so you stop giving every small problem unlimited attention. You remember people are temporary, so you become more careful with your words. You remember your own life is uncertain, so you stop endlessly delaying meaningful action. Death becomes a teacher rather than only a threat. A wise relationship with death does not make you hopeless. It helps you separate what matters from what does not. Suppose you are worried about someone's opinion. Ask yourself whether that opinion will matter at the end of your life. Suppose you are holding a grudge. Ask whether you want to carry it into your final days. Suppose you are postponing something meaningful because you fear embarrassment. Ask whether regret would be heavier than temporary embarrassment. Death simplifies many confusing choices. This does not mean every decision becomes easy. Responsibilities, consequences, and relationships remain complex. But awareness of death can remove the unnecessary noise created by ego. The ego wants approval, comparison, victory, and control. Death reminds you that all of these are temporary. One day, the person you are trying to impress may not remember you. One day, even your own achievements will be left behind. This can feel frightening, but it can also feel freeing. You no longer need to live as a performance. You can stop asking whether everything makes you appear successful and begin asking whether it makes your life meaningful. You can choose a quieter path even if others do not understand. You can value peace over attention. You can build something meaningful without needing everyone to praise it. Fear of death often appears because people feel they have not fully lived. They sense that much of their time has been wasted, and they are afraid life may end before they become who they wanted to be. This fear contains an important message. It may not be telling you only that death is frightening. It may be telling you that your current way of living is incomplete. Instead of allowing the fear to become panic, allow it to become direction. Ask what feels unfinished. Is there love you have not expressed? Is there work you keep delaying? Is there a harmful pattern you know must change? Is there a truth you are afraid to admit? You may not be able to complete everything, but you can begin becoming more honest. Sometimes people create extremely long lists of everything they want to do before death. They believe that visiting every place, achieving every goal, and collecting every experience will remove regret. Experiences can be valuable, but a meaningful life is not only a collection of impressive moments. You can visit many countries and still remain disconnected from yourself. You can achieve success and still feel empty. The quality of your awareness matters more than the number of experiences you collect. A quiet life can be deeply meaningful when lived with presence. Caring for family, creating honest work, helping others, and appreciating simple moments may contain more depth than constantly searching for excitement. Do not let fear of missing out become another kind of worry. You do not need to experience everything. You need to be awake for the life you are actually living. There will always be paths you did not choose. You cannot become every possible version of yourself. Every decision closes some doors while opening others. Peace requires accepting this. The mind may imagine an alternative life in which every choice was better. It may say, you should have chosen another career, moved somewhere else, stayed with someone, or left earlier. It creates perfect versions of paths you never took, because those paths were never tested by reality. Every path would have contained difficulty. The life you did not choose is not automatically better simply because you cannot see its problems. You can learn from the past without endlessly comparing your real life to an imaginary one. Fear of death sometimes makes people regret everything at once. They suddenly feel that time is passing and believe they must completely transform immediately. This pressure can lead to panic rather than wisdom. You do not need to rebuild your entire life tonight. You need to stop postponing the next honest step. A meaningful change can begin quietly. You can call someone, write one page, make one appointment, create one boundary, or spend 1 hour without distraction. Small action turns fear into movement. Panic says there is not enough time, so everything must happen now. Awareness says time is limited, so the next step should be chosen carefully. One creates chaos. The other creates direction. Do not use death as another reason to punish yourself. Perhaps you have already lost years to fear, unhealthy relationships, or hesitation. You may look back and feel angry at yourself. Those years cannot be recovered, but continuing to attack yourself will only lose more time. Use regret as information, not as a permanent home. It can show you what must change, but it should not become another way to waste the present. Say, I cannot change how I lived then, but I can choose how I live now. This sentence returns your power. You may also fear death because you are worried about leaving people behind. You may think about family, children, friends, or anyone who depends on you. This fear comes from love, and it is understandable. You cannot guarantee that you will always be there, but you can use today to give them what matters. You can offer your presence, guidance, kindness, and honest words while you are still here. You can teach through how you live. People may not remember every conversation, but they often remember how someone made them feel and what kind of character they showed during difficult times. A life of compassion leaves something behind even after the person is gone. You do not need fame to create a meaningful influence. The kindness you give one person can change how they treat someone else. The wisdom you share may continue through decisions you never see. This does not make death painless, but it reminds you that life is connected. Your actions do not end only with you. Buddhism teaches karma as the understanding that actions have consequences. Every intention, word, and behavior shapes both you and the world around you. When you live with this awareness, you become less concerned only with how long you live and more concerned with how you live. You begin asking whether your actions reduce suffering or increase it. You ask whether your presence brings peace or confusion. You understand that even small choices matter. Death becomes less frightening when life feels aligned with your values. You may still feel sadness about leaving, but there is less regret when you have lived honestly. The fear often becomes strongest when you know you are betraying your own values. You may be staying silent when you should speak, harming yourself through habits, or giving your life to goals that do not truly matter. Deep inside, you know the time is being misused. Do not ignore this discomfort. It may be an invitation to change. Living well is one of the best responses to fear of death. You cannot control the ending, but you can reduce the number of days spent pretending, postponing, and avoiding. You can choose to make peace with people where possible. You can release some of the anger you no longer want to carry. You can become more honest about what matters. You can stop waiting for a future version of yourself to become brave. Courage does not mean you no longer fear death. It means the fear does not prevent you from loving, growing, and participating in life. You can feel afraid and still take the journey. You can understand that loss is possible and still open your heart. You can know success is uncertain and still begin. A fearless life is not always possible, but a life not controlled by fear is. When thoughts of death appear, do not immediately run from them. Observe what they are showing you. Perhaps the thought is simply a natural awareness of impermanence. Perhaps it is connected to an unresolved fear. Ask whether the thought is helping you appreciate life or only creating panic. If it is creating panic, return to the present. Feel your breath and remind yourself that in this moment, you are alive. The future does not need to be solved right now. If the thought is revealing something important, listen calmly. Perhaps you need to improve your health, repair a relationship, or stop delaying meaningful work. Turn awareness into wise action instead of endless fear. You may never completely remove fear of death, The instinct to protect life is deeply human. The goal is not to force yourself to feel nothing. The goal is to build a wiser relationship with the fear. You acknowledge it without allowing it to become the ruler of your life. You can say, "Yes, my life is temporary, and that is why I will not waste this day." This thought does not deny death, it transforms it into motivation. The next time fear tells you to remain small, remember that staying small does not make you permanent. The next time fear tells you not to love, remember that loneliness does not remove loss. The next time fear tells you to delay, remember that delay does not create more time. Live carefully, but do not live timidly. Protect your body, but also use it. Protect your heart, but do not close it completely. Think about the future, but do not abandon today. You are not required to experience every danger in order to be courageous. You are only required to stop allowing imagined danger to make every choice. There are meaningful risks worth taking. Speaking the truth may risk disapproval. Loving may risk grief. Beginning may risk failure. Changing may risk discomfort, but never taking these risks creates other losses that are less visible. You may lose your voice, your dream, your growth, and your connection to life. Choose risks with wisdom, not recklessness. Then accept that no meaningful life can be completely protected. The fear of death becomes smaller when you stop treating life like something you must preserve untouched. Life is meant to be used, shared, experienced, and changed. A candle fulfills its purpose by giving light, even though burning means it will eventually end. A life also becomes meaningful through what it gives. Do not hide your light simply because time is limited. Let the knowledge of death make you more alive. Let it help you notice what is here, release what is small, and move toward what matters. You cannot control the final moment, but you can refuse to spend every moment before it in fear. Death will arrive when it arrives. Until then, life is asking you to participate. Answer it with awareness. Life ends more quickly than most people realize. You wake up believing there will always be another morning, another chance, another conversation, and another opportunity to begin again. You make plans for next month and next year, as though time has signed a promise with you. But life does not make that promise. One ordinary night may become your final night, and the tomorrow you worried about may never arrive. This truth is not meant to fill you with fear. It is meant to free you from the fear that is already stealing your life. You have spent enough time suffering over possibilities, replaying imaginary disasters, and carrying problems that have not happened. You have worried about losing people who were still beside you, failing before you tried, and dying while forgetting how to live. Buddhism teaches that everything is temporary. Your body, possessions, relationships, success, pain, and worries will all change and eventually disappear. Nothing can be held forever. When you accept this, you stop wasting so much energy trying to control what was never completely under your control. You begin understanding that peace does not come from knowing exactly what will happen tomorrow. Peace comes from trusting that you can meet tomorrow when it arrives. You do what is wise today, prepare where preparation is possible, and release the rest. You stop asking your mind to solve every future problem during one restless night. Remember how much of your suffering has existed only inside your imagination. Your mind created rejection before anyone rejected you, loss before anything was lost, and failure before the first attempt. Some of the things you feared never happened, yet the time you gave to them was still lost. Worry could not change the future, but it changed your experience of the present. Your days are limited, but your mind can create unlimited worries. If you follow every fearful thought, there will always be another reason to postpone peace. One problem will be replaced by another, and one uncertainty will lead to the next. You must decide whether every possible problem deserves a piece of your real life. Your attention is your life. Every hour you give to resentment, comparison, fear, and unnecessary overthinking is an hour you cannot receive again. Money may return, possessions may be replaced, and mistakes may be corrected, but yesterday will never come back. Treat your attention like something precious because it is made from the limited time you have left. Control what truly belongs to you. Control your words, choices, habits, effort, and response. Release other people's opinions, the past that cannot be rewritten, and outcomes that depend on conditions beyond you. You do not need to carry the entire world inside your mind to prove that you care. Do not sacrifice today for problems that may never come. Enjoy peaceful moments without immediately asking when they will end. Receive love without constantly preparing for loss. Appreciate your health without spending every day imagining illness. Prepare wisely, but do not turn preparation into endless fear. Death also makes the ego's problems look small. The argument, insult, comparison, and need to prove yourself may feel important now, but one day they will mean nothing. You do not need to answer every insult, win every argument, or force every person to understand you. Your life is too short to spend it defending an image inside temporary minds. Forgive what no longer deserves another year of your attention. Apologize when you know you were wrong. Walk away from harmful people without carrying hatred. Protect your boundaries, but do not allow bitterness to become your permanent home. Stop waiting for life to become perfect before you begin living. There will always be something unfinished, uncertain, or difficult. If you wait until every problem disappears, you may reach the end with your real life still waiting to begin. You can work toward improvement while still appreciating what is present. You can feel sadness and still notice beauty. You can carry uncertainty and still take the next courageous step. Do not borrow pain from a future that has not arrived. Tomorrow will carry its own weight if it comes. You do not need to carry next year, next month, and next week during this one moment. Ask what is required of you now, do that calmly, and return to the present. Fear of death should not prevent you from living. Avoiding every risk will not make you permanent. It may only make your life smaller. Love, growth, change, and meaningful work all contain uncertainty. You do not need complete safety before you participate in life. One day, you will take your final breath. The plans, worries, and arguments you carried will remain unfinished, but life will continue without you. You cannot control when that day arrives, but you can control whether the days before it were truly lived. Speak your love while people can still hear it. Appreciate your body while it still carries you. Begin the work that matters before confidence arrives. Release the resentment that has already taken enough of your time. Sit with the people you love and give them your full attention. Before sleeping each night, ask yourself whether you truly lived or only worried about tomorrow. Did you notice what was around you? Did you use your time wisely? Did your choices reflect the person you wanted to become? You will not live every day perfectly. Some days will still be lost to fear, anger, or distraction. Do not turn one wasted day into a wasted life. As long as you are breathing, you can return, you can choose again, you can become more present in the next moment. Perhaps tomorrow will come, and perhaps it will not. Either way, worry cannot protect you from death. It can only prevent you from experiencing life before death arrives. Take a slow breath and look around. This moment is still here. The person beside you is still here. Your life is still moving through your body. Do not treat this moment like it is ordinary, simply because you expected it. Your worry was about tomorrow, but you died tonight. Let that sentence wake you before it becomes your story. Stop postponing peace, love, courage, and gratitude. Live today so fully that if tomorrow never arrives, your life will not feel as though it was always waiting to begin.